In the previous videos with this car, my 2008 Honda Fit, we established one thing. It is the perfect daily driver. They're cheap, they are incredibly reliable because Honda. They're really good on gas, they're roomy on the inside, and most importantly, they're cheap and easy to modify, and they are a blast to drive. This is the type of car you can load up, drive across the country, and then do a track day, which is exactly what I did on the previous video. But there is one problem. It's slow. Come on.
60.
Oh, it didn't work. But not only is it slow, did you hear that rev limiter? Did you hear the way it sounds? Yeah, you can try it again going down this hill. More reasonable. 0 to 60 in 8.86 seconds. Let's go! Anyway, you know what would fix both the speed and the sound? Excuse me. A turbocharger. I mean, isn't this glorious? There's nothing better than seeing all the parts about to go onto your build. Now we've got two main goals for this build. Make it sound cool, and make it a little bit faster, with the all-important rule of keeping it daily drivable and keeping it reliable. This entire build, this entire turbo kit, it's gonna be very DIY and it's going to be very cheap. Most of these parts I already had, and the rest I'm going to be building. In fact, the only part I purchased that is specific to this car is this cast iron turbo manifold right here, which was 200 bucks off eBay. So if you have a Fit and you wanna turbo it, or really if you have any car, I'm gonna kinda show you how it works and how you can do it yourself for cheap. But unfortunately, before we can turbocharge it, you have to do some supporting mods. There's three main things you have to upgrade on your car when you turbocharge it. Number one is the drivetrain. So for that, we have an upgraded clutch, which is the world's smallest clutch. My hand is almost as big as it. That will hold the extra horsepower from the turbocharger. We have an upgraded shifter. Then the next thing you have to upgrade is your fuel system. And then the third thing that some cars you have to upgrade, some cars you don't, is your electronics, your ECU. Now, thankfully, this car has a tunable ECU, so I don't have to put a standalone in it. A lot of cars do have tunable ECUs, but if your car is OBD1 or older, you're probably gonna have to get a standalone. That's the sucky part. But the thing we will be getting on this car is a wideband O2 sensor, just so we can externally monitor the AFRs. So in this video, we are going to be doing all the supporting mods. We're gonna put the clutch in, and we're gonna put this awesome shifter in. I'm honestly so excited for this. I've been collecting these parts over the last few months, and it is finally time to make this car turbocharged. So without any delay, let's work on dropping the transmission. We got a lot of the stuff on the top of the transmission off. Slave cylinder and all the clutch lines are removed. Master cylinder is removed, you can kind of see it back there. Shifter cables are removed and all the wiring is removed, and I zip tied everything up out of the way, so hopefully it makes pulling the transmission a little bit easier. The only thing I'm a bit worried about are those plugs down there for the electric power steering. Might have to move those, but I don't really know. As always, I'm just kind of winging it, and if we come into any issues, we'll figure it out then. But now, car go up, and we can start unbolting the axles, the mounts, and the bell housing bolts. Everything underneath the car is all done. In order to get this rear motor mount out, we had to drop the subframe, separate the steering rack from the subframe, and then that gave us access to pull it out. But now, we're ready to come out. We're gonna bring it down onto the floor. We gotta remove that mount, and the starter. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's good. I wonder why I had such bad wheel hop, eh? It's heavier than it looks, I will say.
Bro, what is wrong with you? Hold on. Actually, try to help.
Yeah, you want to grab it now? Okay. You know, something tells me its clutch doesn't have, you know, 10,000 miles on it, because it supposedly was replaced right when I bought the thing. That doesn't look like a fresh clutch to me. No siree. So with our transmission out, we can now replace the throwout bearing and replace the clutch and the pilot bearing behind the clutch. Yeah, damn. Yikes. Fresh pilot bearing in, flywheel cleaned up. Put that into the pilot bearing. Hondas are sick, bro.
I'm telling you.
Literally took less than a minute. So with the transmission back installed with the upgraded clutch in there, it's time to reassemble the car. And then since it's an eBay clutch, we cross our fingers and hope it works. Oh God.
When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
So sure enough, after all that work, I got the clutch bled. It does not release. It doesn't work. The pedal feels good for about the first half, and then the second half, it's rock solid. And you can keep pushing, but it feels like it's bottoming out of it against something, and I'm just essentially bending the springs. And even with the pedal adjusted as high as it can go, so it has as much travel as it can, it never releases. I can't get the wheels to spin when it's in gear. I have learned that my actions have consequences. I'm never gonna buy an eBay clutch again. It's just not worth it, man. It's half the price, but man, I just wasted 2 full days of my life doing this. I just gotta redo it all. So I'm gonna purchase a legitimate clutch. So let's rewind back to when the transmission was out of the car. So instead of the eBay clutch, we have a Clutchmasters FX250 and an aluminum flywheel. I didn't originally want to have to spend this much money. This thing is $800, but I guess sometimes you have to put an investment when you're turbocharging your car. This will be the single most expensive thing on the entire build, but I think it's worth it. Their FX250 is like essentially like their stage 2, a little bit grippier, a little bit more strength, but very streetable. Beautiful white little clutch with an aluminum flywheel. This entire thing nice and light. So here we have the Clutchmasters disc. It's bigger in diameter, which is interesting. Like significantly bigger in diameter. It's got 2 different sides, or like the clutch disc is different on each side, which is kind of interesting. It's actually labeled which side it goes on, Kurt. Look at that, flywheel side, my goodness.
Hey, bro.
Imagine how much time a sticker can save you. So the difference in the clutch, the pressure plate, massive. Anyway, we can throw this in now. Now we got a couple of upgrades going back in the car along with the clutch. This is the master cylinder that came out the car. And this is a brand new OEM master cylinder from Honda. Along with replacing the master cylinder, we are deleting this thing right here. This weird looking thing is a clutch delay valve. It's supposed to delay how quickly you can engage and disengage the clutch, and it supposedly makes the clutch feel worse. I always thought the car felt pretty good when the master cylinder was working at least, but we're gonna delete it anyway. Hopefully it gets better. A company by the name of Seb's Garage makes this little stainless steel clutch line that just bypasses that valve. And in that order, I got this little note. If you could give my Instagram, YouTube a shout out on your channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Well, Seb, it's cool that you knew who I was just from my order. But yeah, check out Seb's Garage, I guess, on Instagram or YouTube. I'm assuming he makes Honda Fit content. Anyway, let's start by connecting the master cylinder with this line and then putting it all in there. So the car is pretty much all put back together, obviously besides some small things, intake. I bled the clutch. Ooh, baby. It feels awesome. It's definitely stiffer than stock, but it's not like blow your knee out kind of thing. And it's super springy. And this thing bled so easily. So shout out to the new master cylinder and the delay valve delete. This clutch feels awesome. I'm very excited to drive it. Let's get it thrown back together so we can test it out. The fuck? I must have something unplugged. Weird. Bro, what? So the first thing I did was check to make sure it was getting fuel. Sure enough, it is getting fuel. Then I checked to see if it was getting spark. And it wasn't getting spark. So I looked up online, 2008 Honda Fit, no spark. And somebody mentioned that there was a 1-pin wire behind the battery that had plugged out or pulled out on their car. Sure enough, I removed the battery and that 1-pin wire had indeed pulled out on my car as well. So we're gonna try it, see if it works. It runs, but it does have a code right now. Oh, it's because I didn't put the intake back on, duh. Let's put this intake back on, and then it won't have a code. Oh, it grabs right at the top. What is that? It feels a little weird back there. It's grabby, but it's not bad. The stock clutch was so fried, and the master cylinder was so fried that it feels like a whole different car. I mean, on the old setup, you barely rest your foot on the clutch pedal, and it would start slow. Almost held it there. All right, well now that it took me, like 2 weeks to do a clutch change, we can continue with the rest of the build. One thing's for sure, I'm incredibly happy we ended up going with this Clutch Masters clutch, because that FX 250 feels freaking awesome. Now, the other things we're gonna do in this video, shifter. I mean, look at that. Have you ever had a short shifter come in a briefcase? Nor had I until now. Now some of you guys might be thinking, didn't you upgrade the shifter already in one of the previous videos? The answer to your question is yes. But the shifter that's in there now, it's kind of like a street car shifter. This is a race car shifter. Oh my God, this thing is sick. This company, WK Motorsport, reached out, and at first I was like, I don't have short shifter. But then I saw their short shifter, and I was like, that is a work of art, and I want it. And so here we are. This thing came with 4 different shift knob options, a shift plate. This thing is super configurable, but let me just install it. So now, shifter is installed. Now there's 2 main customization options you can go with. Go with the shift ring collar and the carbon fiber sleeve with their matching carbon fiber shift knob. But this is a weighted shift knob, and I don't really like weighted shift knobs. So you can also take everything off, and you can use one of 3 Delrin shift knobs. And to me, that feels better and looks way better. Anyway, that is the shifter from WK Motorsports. Huge thank you to them for sending that out. If you guys are interested, I'll have a link in the description down below. So the last pre-turbo upgrade we're doing in this video is fixing this. This is like the front motor mount that pretty much tries to control the engine pitching over when your clutch is engaging, disengaging, when you're shifting, accelerating. This is what happens when you launch your stock car a bunch and no lift shifted and all sorts of stuff. But companies don't make an upgrade for this. What most companies do, you replace all the other motor mounts and then just delete this. Well, I don't really want to do that because I don't want it to run rough, and I also don't want to have to pay 400 bucks for motor mounts. This is the bracket that goes on the transmission, and this is a upgraded bushing I bought off of Amazon. With a little bit of drilling out, it'll go right over there, and I'm hoping I can build some sort of mount using this bushing that will control the engine from pitching over, but not make the idle and just drivability harsh. So the mount is in there, but there's only one way to find out if it works decently, and that is to drive it.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh God. Oh. No, it's not even worth driving. God. It feels like it's got solid rotor mounts. I guess the one is. Damn.
All right. So obviously this doesn't work. Here's my next idea. I bought a factory bushing, which as you can tell, incredibly soft. I mean, I can move it all over the place just by hand. The reason for that is that it's literally only held to the outside of the the mount with these little pieces of rubber. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fill all the gaps with polyurethane sealant. Once this dries, it's essentially polyurethane, which is what upgraded mounts are made out of. Is this a crazy idea that probably won't work? Possibly, but it might work. So the first thing I did was clean out all of like the rubber dust that is left over in the rubber of the bushing from when it was poured or molded or whatever. I don't know what it is. Did that with sandpaper and stubble green. Now it's just bare rubber, nice and sticky. I taped up the deep side. I'm gonna fill the shallow side in, put tape on it, flip it around, and then fill this other side. I have no idea if this is gonna work, but as long as it hardens, I think it will. And the awesome stuff about this is that it was pretty thin and it's really good at self-leveling. So it's like a nice, flat surface, and it hopefully absorbed into all the little pockets. It is bubbling a bit, and I keep popping the bubbles and it seals back up. But we're only gonna know in about 2 days. So here it is. The good news, it worked. It's significantly stiffer. The bad news, it definitely isn't fully dry. Today is Tuesday, and I filled this with the sealant Friday. It's been like 4 days, and it's not fully cured. That's not an immediate concern, because the sealant said it takes 7 days to fully cure. But I'm losing patience. And I wanna get this video out to you guys, so I'm going to put it in. It's hard enough where I don't think it's gonna fall apart, and as long as I drive it kind of cautiously for a couple days, it should be all good. But overall, I think this is a good success. I'm gonna clean it up, paint it, and then we can throw it in. Little teaser for the next video. Technically not a paint booth yet, but might as well break her in, right? Man, having a paint booth is gonna be sick.
can deal with. That doesn't rattle the interior apart. Oh yeah. I want to do nothing more than bang gears, but since the polyurethane isn't fully cured, I don't want to like just ruin my progress. It required a lot of patience getting to this point. But I've been driving this car around with, you know, a missing motor mount. So let's see how it feels. Even though the polyurethane's not fully cured, it's gonna get stiffer, it's gonna get better. Drives nice. You can really tell when you're engaging the clutch because you can feel the chatter of the clutch a little bit more. Oof, and that lightweight flywheel, man, it feels good.
Well, for now, looks as if it's still in one piece. So that's good. I think that was a huge success. This drivetrain is now ready to handle a whopping 160, 170 wheel horsepower. Guys, let me show you. Let me show you some exciting stuff. We have all the metal fab parts here ready to go. Aluminum, stainless steel, mufflers, even an exhaust valve. We've got our injectors in, our wideband, our intercooler's over there. We've got all the parts to get this turbo kit on and finished. But that is not gonna happen in the next video. In the next video, we're working back on the shop. We wanna build the walls for the paint booth and for the storage closet and some other little things and get the place painted. Because once that's done, we can put the lights in and start moving in. And that's important because there's a lot of stuff in this shop right now for the new section of the shop taking up space. I don't want to start fabricating on this thing until I have some space. So the next video, we're building the paint booth. There's gonna be a huge amount of progress, and so get excited. Of course, if you wanna watch it early, you can click up there and become a patron. You'll get early access to every video, access to exclusive posts, and you help support the channel. And there's a free option as well. So if you wanna go over there for free, you can do so. Thank you all so much for the support. See you in the next one. Peace out.